Everybody, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the brand new perks Tempered as well as Combat Scout, because I think there's a few different misconceptions with how Combat Scout works and when Temper is going to be useful. So we're going to go ahead and talk about what they actually do and how you can use these to your advantage, especially with this Combat Scout, which one I think is pretty much broken, but we'll get to that point. If you enjoy the video, learn something new, please do me a favor, hit the like button. If you're brand new, want to find your way back, just double check, make sure you are subscribed with notifications on. Reminder, my Gfuel code is currently discounted to 30% off. Link in the description, just code JGOD at checkout all the way until the 16th of this month. So if you're looking to restock or try a new flavor, go ahead and check that out. So first thing we're going to go ahead and look at is the Tempered perk. So this one is refill armor plates to full plates instead of 3. Equipping this perk fully restores your armor. This one is like a crazy cool perk, especially for Plunder, which we'll get into. Obviously, one thing that's different with Plunder is you normally spawn in only with 2 plates. So this will actually give you full plates right off the bat if you're trying to focus on a specific weapon. So I think for Plunder, you might as well use this one. It's pretty cool if you're not going to go overkill. But when it comes to regular loadouts, let's talk about the actual difference with a side-to-side comparison. So here's what they are side by side. I have the Krig 6 on the left, and then we also have the Krig 6 on the right. You can see that I'm not fully plated here and I only have a tick there, but it doesn't matter for this purposes. It's still taking 2 plates. They're both using the Combat Scout perk, so it's not like amped involved. But what we will do is talk about how long it takes to actually start the plate animation. You'll see the guns both drop at the same time. They put in 2 plates identically, but one obviously needs to put on 3 plates, so that's going to take a little bit longer. We'll look at the difference in that time. I'm going to press play. Pretty much they're perfectly synced. This one finishes at 4 seconds, 4.054, and the other one finishes at 5.622, which means it's approximately about a 1.5 seconds difference. So in most people, the vast majority of cases, not going to be a huge difference, but there's several times, especially when you push into a building, maybe you take damage, you go around the corner, you get 2 plates in, that'll be fully healed. And if you're going against someone who was also pretty aggressive, but they haven't finished you, and they're trying to get 2 plates in, they're going to only put in 100 health or damage, and you're putting in 150. So you can actually win the damage war in several of those scenarios. It ends up really coming down to, do you think that Ghost, Restock, or another perk, even High Alert, is worth using over the Tempered perk? In this particular case, I think it really depends on playstyle. Another thing to consider is how much the plates are worth. So if you're sitting on a satchel, that means you're going to have 8 plates total. You do the math on the left one, which is up 50 per plate. 50 times 8 ends up being 400 damage that you can absorb in addition to the 150 that you have. So it drops up to like 550. With the other one, you're still going to get those 2 plates that you have on you, but 8 plates at 75, which end up being significantly more at 750, which is an additional 200 damage you can absorb. So especially in those scenarios, especially when late game or there's scenarios where you get low on plates, they do happen. The Tempered perk can be convenient for those scenarios, but you got to go ahead and kind of rock them ahead of time. So in addition to having more plates at your disposal, you're going to be able to plate faster by about 1.5 seconds, and it's up to you to determine whether or not that's worth it for you. At the end of the day, that comes down to playstyle preference. So now let's go ahead and talk about how Combat Scout works and if that is the new meta when it comes to the perk 3 slot. There were a couple different things that I assumed about the perk that I eventually ended up being wrong, and other things that I learned about the perk that we'll go ahead and discuss. So pretty much how it works is you get a basic highlight, and you're able to see people just the same way it looks when you get a snapshot grenade. And pretty much how it works is you take damage and you can see the character on screen highlights, and this is behind cover. They'll highlight for 600 milliseconds for all damage except, for some reason, Semtex. You get 667 milliseconds. So 10% longer with those for whatever reason. And the timer resets 600 milliseconds every time the player takes damage. So you shoot and then another bullet hits them 100 milliseconds later. It's 600 milliseconds from the last time you deal damage. That's how that particular one works. And we can go through and it goes all the way across. But this thing actually has multiple components. So you can see it turns off right at 600 milliseconds, which is this frame right there. The other part of this is there's also a ping that stays above the player's head, like a live ping. And this one lasts for 3.5 seconds, and it does not reset until the 3.5 seconds are up. So what I mean by that is, let's say I damage him here. If I damage him again, doesn't matter. The 3.5 seconds starts from that initial damage, and there's a cooldown until that 3.5 seconds is over. So if I end up shooting him at 3.4 seconds, it's not going to reset that timer until we get back over 3.5 and it starts fading away. I can reset that live ping. So right here, we can see it disappear above the head. Boom. And obviously we're in Plunder, so it shows the name popping up. If we do the same thing, we'll go ahead and continue through. I tested the gas grenade to see if that did any effect, and tacticals do not work. So that means if you stun a room, it's not going to highlight them. You can see they've clearly taken damage, but they're not showing up. You can see the little hit marker indicator. So it doesn't work with that. I tried it again with stuns. It just doesn't work. This is also how I was able to find out with the thermite, and we get to the thermite. This is how I was able to find out that the timer doesn't reset for the ping, but it resets on the actual damage indicator. So I throw this, it's going to live ping people. So we'll go ahead and check that out in real speed. So I go ahead and throw it. So right here, we're going to see Shampoo. He's going to run through this. He takes a hit marker here, and the live ping is from there. So let's go ahead and put the timer on there so you can go ahead and see that comparison. We'll go ahead and scroll this one over so you can actually see the time. So he took damage there, and you can see he gets another hit marker right here. So that reset the highlight. So it's another 600 milliseconds from that point where he took damage again. But when it comes through 600 milliseconds, it disappears right around 600 milliseconds. But the actual live ping, if we go back over here, it started 3.5 seconds from there. So you can see it goes, and it didn't reset. Even though he goes back through, the live ping fades at 3.5 seconds. Even though he took damage 3 separate times, the live ping ends up ending right at the next time he took damage. So the live ping is persistent, and you're not going to reset that live ping. So they're working off 2 different timers here. Even though he highlighted himself 3 times in this individual clip, the ping only happened once, and it was from the first indicator of damage, and it carried through for 3.5 seconds. And why this is important is a couple different things. That means that when you get multiple hit markers, it's not going to actually live ping them again until that live ping's gone, but it'll allow you to see them through the wall. If you keep damaging them, you'll get a reset 600 milliseconds where your team is knowing where these are. This becomes particularly broken when people use FMJ. And I'm going to show you a specific example of this in game that shows how kind of crazy broken it is. We'll go ahead and keep going through. Just side note, we were able to test high alert. It is not currently working to counter dead silence. If someone has dead silence, you still can't hear their footsteps. We did test that. One other thing is the fire shotgun works a lot like the thermite. If you happen to get a fire shotgun, what happens is you get fire shotgun with EOD or not, it doesn't matter. The hit markers are still coming through with the fire, and there's a delayed hit marker. So if we look at right here, the first hit marker comes through, and then another hit marker comes through that extends out the other one. So here's where the other hit marker comes through right there. You see it? Boom. You get another hit marker that extends the highlight. So that's why the highlight lasts so long. But then the actual timer for the thing to disappear still happens at 3.5. So that's inevitably how it works. We also have the resistant marking. If somebody is running cold-blooded, they can avoid this highlight. So right here, it will not ping and it will not highlight them. So he switched to cold-blooded. I shoot him. Target resistant to marking. So it'll still pop up on the screen, but it's not going to highlight. It is not going to ping. So if you want to avoid this, you can actually use the counter and it will not show them through the wall. You're not going to get any. So it's not even reduced. It's just completely gone. This shows that the stun doesn't work either. So when you do a stun, I throw a stun.
Throwing stun.
Doesn't highlight them. So pretty straightforward there. Let me see if there's any other. Then here was the nade one. So I throw the nade right here. And for some reason, it lasts longer. So he takes damage right there. That's the timer starts, and it goes up to 660. And that's where it disappears. 650, 660. So you get an extra like 10% ping when it's with a nade. So it is what it is. So now let's talk a little bit about strategy and what's going to happen in these individual scenarios. All you need is something that's going to get a hit marker inside a building. It's not going to be a stun. Snapshots could be good if you're going to be running restock, but none of these are going to highlight the enemy player except for a snapshot. And why the snapshot could be particularly broken is because you can snapshot into a room, then use FMJ on an LMG, perhaps. And then once you wallbang, you'll be able to continue that wallbang. And there's several clips I've seen of this in action where it definitely shows how broken it is. We'll check out one now. So this clip right here is from Shaded Step with somebody I've played with on the channel. We featured him as a top player. I believe he's number 3 for wins currently in the world when it comes to Verdansk. And what you're going to see is here, he's experimenting with this FMJ build PKM. Keeping in mind that it's going to be a little bit slow. That's why they put his perk 3, so you can't run amped with this thing. But if you ever get like specialist with one of these, ooh, man, it's going to be nutty. So right here,
I think there's seconds.
he got his flash grenade, which is cool, but it's not going to give an additional ping when he gets this. So he throws it.
Yeah.
Highlights players. You can see that there's no ping above their head, so it's not giving an indicator. But as soon as he's able to shoot on this guy, he gets his time to do it. Now it live pinged, and it does a harder outline of this player. So as long as he's getting hit markers, he came through, tracked the other guy, and he's able, the other guy got downed. He comes over here, as soon as he gets a bullet penetrating, now he gets a live ping to see this guy through the wall. And with FMJ, this guy's getting 100%. You've seen how many bullets it took. Look at how many hit markers this is. A ridiculous amount as he swaps targets. So right here, what is he at? 30. Okay, let's check the ammo when he swaps. 39. So it took him like 30 hit markers, but he was able to wallbang the guy through the wall there. And he's just like, damn, it's broken. But those are scenarios that you could take advantage of with this perk, especially if people are in buildings. You wouldn't necessarily use a stun because that's not going to help you. You could use a thermite, you could use a Molotov, because anytime they deal damage, then you'll be able to spot them. Once they're spotted, you could shoot through a lot of different objects. And it's kind of broken with FMJ, how many walls are penetrable, and you're not going to be able to tell. So let me know how you guys are going to build out this, if you guys are going to be running cold-blooded so you can counter this. Overall, I think it's disgusting. I think more people are probably going to use Combat Scout and kind of find interesting ways to play with Combat Scout so they can kind of exploit the perk until it maybe gets nerfed. Maybe they'll lower that ping from 3.5 seconds down to 2.5, because that ping is enough for you to wallbang someone. You don't need the full outline, right? And then you'll get a full outline once you hit marker them. So it's pretty crazy how forgiving that is. And once people start to figure out, hey, I use a snapshot, find out where people are, who needs UAVs anymore? You literally, oh, I hear something, throw it in the room, mark them. Now I can just shoot you through the wall. There's not even a gunfight involved. It's pretty crazy. Obviously, those are a little bit more niche scenarios, but it is what it is. Hopefully, you guys did enjoy the video, learned something new. If you did, please do me a favor, hit the like button if you're brand new, want to find your way back. Double check, make sure you are subscribed with notifications on. Thank you for watching. As always, have a great day.